you. San Bernardino, thank you. There are, if you haven't noticed, there are a lot of people here. Let me begin by thanking Jeremy Rotner, Bobby Joe Chavarria, the Minor Birds Band, Daniel Francisi, and let me thank Kendrick Sampson for that great introduction. So let me begin by telling you that Donald Trump will not become president of the United States. Donald Trump will not become president because the American people are not going to support somebody who wants to give hundreds of billions of dollars in tax breaks to billionaires. Somebody who thinks that climate change is a hoax. Someone who has said that he believes that wages in America are too high. But more importantly, the American people are not going to support a candidate who insults Latinos and Mexicans, who insults Muslims, who insults women and veterans and African Americans. That is not the candidate that the American people will be electing president. Let me also tell you that Donald Trump will not become president because in every national poll done in the last 2 months, I defeat him. And we defeat him, not only, we defeat him by, in some cases, double digits and by far greater numbers as does Secretary Clinton. So if the Democratic Party wants a candidate who is going to defeat Trump and defeat him bad, we are that campaign. You look very beautiful yourselves. You know, what I believe is that what makes this country great is our diversity. Is when we stand together as black and white and Latino, Asian American, Native American. That is our beauty. That is our strength. You know, if we went around this huge room, just think about it, we would probably find people who came from 100 or more different lands. That That is a beautiful thing. Trump thinks it is a good idea to try to divide us up. We know that what makes us great is bringing us together. This campaign is going to win here in California. For a number of reasons. Number one, we are going to do something unprecedented in the political history of California. We are going all over this state. This is our third rally today. And by the time we're finished, our grassroots campaign will have spoken to over 200,000 Californians. We will win because we have the energy, we have the enthusiasm, and because people know that given the crises we face, it is too late for establishment politics or establishment economics. This campaign is going to win because we are doing something very unusual in American politics. We are telling the truth. And here is the truth. We are living in a rigged economy where the middle class continues to shrink. 47 million Americans live in poverty, and almost all new income and wealth is going to the top 1%. America is not supposed to be a country in which the top 0.1% now owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. America is not supposed to be a country where the top 20 wealthiest people own more wealth than the bottom half of America, 150 million people. America is not supposed to be a country where one family, the Walton family of Walmart, one family owns more wealth than the bottom 42% of our people. And that one family that owns Walmart pays its workers that are wages that are so low that many of those workers are forced to go on food stamps and Medicaid. And the middle class subsidizes those wages because Walmart is too cheap to give workers a living wage. Working families should not have to subsidize the wealthiest family in this country. And I say to the Walton family, get off of welfare, pay your workers a living wage. A rigged economy is when mom is out working 40 hours a week, dad's out working, kids are working, and yet 58% of all new income goes to the top 1%. A rigged economy is when 29 million people have no health insurance and private insurance companies make billions in profit. Brothers and sisters, what we are going to do is create an economy that works for all of us. And not just the top 1%. Our message to the billionaire class, to Wall Street and to corporate America, they cannot have it all. This country belongs to all of us, not just a few. But it is not only a rigged economy, an economy which people are working longer and longer hours and going nowhere in a hurry. It is also a corrupt campaign finance system. Democracy is not a complicated process. It is one person, one vote. You get a vote, you get a vote, and you get a vote. Democracy is not about billionaires buying elections. Together, we are going to overturn this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision. One person, one vote, not the rich and the powerful buying elections for the rich and the powerful. But it's not just a rigged economy in which the very rich get richer and everybody else gets poorer. It is not only a corrupt campaign finance system, it is also a broken criminal justice system. In America today, we should be deeply ashamed. We have more people in jail, disproportionately African American, Latino, and Native American. We have more people in jail than any other country on earth. If we make it to the White House, that embarrassment will end. This campaign is about thinking outside of the box, going beyond what television or the radio tell you. It's thinking about issues in a new way. When we look at a broken criminal justice system, we have got to understand that right now, in inner cities and in rural communities, unemployment for young people is often 30, 40, or 50% in some communities. And when you have kids by the millions throughout this country, not in school, not at work, bad things happen. My view is that we should invest in our young people, in jobs and education. Not in jails or incarceration. Think about an America where young people are doing constructive and meaningful work, or they are in school learning, not hanging out on street corners or rotting in jail cells. But when we look at a broken criminal justice system, we also have to look at local police departments throughout this country. Now, I was a mayor of the city of Burlington, Vermont for 8 years. And we'd love for you to come and visit us sometime. Beautiful city, beautiful state. And I have worked with police officers in my city and around this country, and the overwhelming majority of police officers are honest and hardworking and have a very difficult job. But like any other public official, if a police officer breaks the law, that officer must be held accountable. We have got to demilitarize local police departments. We have got to make police departments look like the diversity of the communities they serve. We have got to end corporate ownership of prisons and detention centers. It is a perverse incentive for a company to make more money if more people are locked up. That's got to end. We have got to change law enforcement culture around this country so that lethal force, killing someone, is the last response, not the first response. We have got to rethink the so-called war on drugs. Here is a truth not widely known, and that is that over the last 30 years, millions of Americans have received criminal records for possession of marijuana. And it turns out that that becomes a racial issue because while the black community and the white community do marijuana at about equal rates, blacks are 4 times more likely than whites to be arrested. Right now, under the Federal Controlled Substance Act, marijuana is listed as a Schedule I drug right next to heroin. Now, people can argue, and scientists argue, and everybody argues, the pluses and minuses of marijuana. But nobody I know believes that marijuana is equivalent to a killer drug like heroin. And that is why I believe we should take marijuana out of the Federal Controlled Substance Act. Now, all of you know that the decision as to whether or not to legalize marijuana is a state decision, not a federal decision. And you all know that there are 4 states in this country, plus Washington, D.C., that in fact have legalized marijuana. There will be an item on the ballot here in November calling for legalization. I myself think that it makes sense to go forward in that direction. This campaign is going to win because we are listening to the American people, not just wealthy campaign contributors. When we began our campaign, we had to make a very important decision, and that decision was, should we establish, like every other campaign, a super PAC? We agreed with you. No super PAC. We do not represent Wall Street or corporate America or the billionaire class. We don't want their money. So what we did in this campaign is reach out to working families and the middle class and said, if you want a candidate who's going to fight for you and take on big money, please support us. And what happened, and frankly, what happened over the last year is beyond unbelievable. We have received almost 8 million individual campaign contributions. To quote Abraham Lincoln at Gettysburg, or to paraphrase him, I don't think he was talking about this campaign. This campaign is a campaign of the people, by the people, and for the people. My Democratic opponent, Secretary Clinton, has gone in a different direction. She has not one, but several super PACs and has raised tens of millions of dollars from Wall Street and other special interests. I don't know how you can take money from Wall Street and special interest and then say you're going to take them on. You can't take their money and take them on. All of us in politics have got to make a very fundamental decision. Which side are you on? I come from a family that is a working class family, and I will always stand with the working people of this country. There are millions of people in Vermont and California, all over this country, who are working for starvation wages. There are single moms who go to work and work 40, 50 hours a week and are not making enough money to take care of their children. In America, if you work 40 hours a week, you should not be living in poverty. The minimum wage of $7.25 an hour is a starvation wage. Together, we're going to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, $15 an hour. And when we talk about fair wages, I know that every man here will stand with the women in the fight for pay equity. There is no rational economic reason why women are making 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. The women of this country want the whole damn dollar, and they're right. This campaign is listening to senior citizens and disabled veterans. A great nation, brothers and sisters, is not judged by how many millionaires it has or how many nuclear weapons it has. That's not how you judge a great nation. A great nation and a great people are judged by how they respond to the needs of the weakest and most vulnerable amongst us. Today, there are millions of seniors, disabled veterans, and people with disabilities who are struggling to stay alive, to live with dignity on $10,000, $11,000 a year Social Security. And you know what? Nobody can make it on $10,000 or $11,000 a year. My Republican colleagues, if you can believe it, they want to cut Social Security. Well, we've got some bad news for them. We're not going to cut Social Security. We're going to expand Social Security benefits. This campaign is listening to women. And women are tired, and all of us are tired of Republicans running around the country trouble. So if you see me walking the streets, hey, Bernie, 28th, your anniversary. Jane and I, we believe very strongly in family values. We have 4 great kids, 7 beautiful grandchildren. But our family values are very different than Republican family values. When we talk about family, we talk about ending the international embarrassment of the United States being the only major country on earth that does not guarantee paid family and medical leave. If a woman in Vermont or California has a baby today, she should not be forced to go back to work in a week or 2 because she lacks the money to take care of that baby. That is why we are going to pass 3 months paid, guaranteed family and medical leave. This campaign is listening to young people. And And one of the aspects of this whole campaign that has been absolutely extraordinary is the fact that when we began, a lot of the pundits and the experts say, well, young people, they're not going to get involved in politics. They're too busy partying. They're too busy looking at their video games. Not going to get involved. But you know what happened? From coast to coast, young people have understood that they are the future of our country. And if I might add, you are a beautiful future of this country. And young people have said, you know what? Yeah, we're going to get involved. We are going to shape the future of America. And here's what has been really quite incredible, and I want everybody to appreciate this. We have, up to now, won primaries and caucuses in 20 states. And in all of those states, and even in the states where we lost, we have won by overwhelming numbers the votes of young people. In fact, very often the elections are determined. If young people come out in large numbers, we win. If they don't, we lose. Simple as all that. But here is the point. The whole country now understands, and the Democratic Party leadership must understand, that we and our ideas are the future of this country. And what that means is that our vision of a nation based on social justice, economic justice, racial justice, environmental justice, that is the future of America. And when I talk to young people, just this morning, I was getting a cup of coffee, and the guy who was pouring the coffee said to me, Senator, I hope you win because, and tears, literally started tearing up. He said, I am in such deep student debt. So this guy is working, in a fast food place, and he has deep student debt. Now, what young people all over this country are asking me is, how does it happen when they do exactly the right thing? When you go out and get the education that you need, why is it that you're ending up $30,000, $50,000, $80,000 in debt? Think about it for a second. Think outside of the box. We are living in a competitive global economy. We need the best educated workforce in the world. We should be rewarding people for getting a good education, not punishing them. The current situation, if you think outside of the box, and if you think how important it is that we should be the best educated workforce in the world, think. I talked to a woman in my own city, Burlington, Vermont. She always wanted to become a doctor. She is a doctor. She works with low-income people doing great work. $300,000 in debt. We have a dental crisis in this country. We need more dentists. Spoke to a young woman in Iowa, $400,000 in debt,
leaving dental school. Spoke to a kid in Iowa, dropped out after 2 years, $60,000 of debt. A guy in Nevada, he took his loan out 25 years ago. He's more in debt today than when he took it out 25 years ago. Spoke to a woman in New Hampshire. She said, Bernie, I'm not only paying off my daughter's debt, I'm paying off my own debt. Think about it. That is crazy. Makes no sense if we want to have a well-educated population. And that is why I believe that today it is no longer good enough to think about public education as being first grade through 12th grade. When we talk about public education today, we must be talking about making public colleges and universities tuition free. Now let me ask you a question. I want a serious answer here. Does anybody think that it is a radical idea to make public colleges and universities tuition free? It is not. Look, 50 years ago, if you had a high school degree, the likelihood was that you could go out, get a good job, and make it into the middle class. By and large, that is not the case today. The economy has changed. Technology has changed. People need more education. And let me tell you why this is not a radical idea. Do you know how much college tuition is in Germany? It's free. Scandinavia. I talked to a kid. Last year, I was at a conference in D.C., and I said, well, my understanding is that in Scandinavia, college education is free. And a kid jumps up, and he says, sorry, Senator, you're wrong. I come from Finland. It's not free. They pay us to go to college. We have got to learn from those countries who are investing in their young people, in their education, and in the future of the country. I want every child in San Bernardino, in Burlington, Vermont, kids who are in the 6th grade, kids like my own family did not have any money. My parents never went to college. I want every kid in America to know that if he or she studies hard, does their schoolwork well, yes, they will get a college education regardless of their income. Let me ask you all a question. How many people here are carrying student debt? Welcome to the club. There are millions of people carrying student debt. This is what we propose. Right now, there are millions of people paying 6, 8, 10% interest rates on their student debt. I think people should be able to refinance their debt at the lowest interest rates they can find. Now, people say, well, Bernie, my critics say Bernie is a nice guy. He's like Santa Claus. He's giving away free stuff. How are you going to pay for it, Bernie? I will tell you exactly how we're going to pay for it. Over the last 25 years, media doesn't talk about it too often, but it's true. There has been a massive transfer of wealth in this country from the pockets of working families to the top 1/10 of 1%. 8 years ago, after the greed and recklessness and illegal behavior on Wall Street resulted in this country going into the worst recession since the Great Depression of the 30s,
the CEOs on Wall Street came to the Congress and they said, "Oh, bail us out." Well, I didn't vote for that, but Congress did bail them out. I think that today, with Wall Street doing just fine, now is the time to impose a tax on Wall Street speculation. And that will bring in more than enough money to make public colleges and universities tuition-free and substantially lower student debt. People of this country bailed out Wall Street. Now it's Wall Street's time to help the middle class. This campaign is listening to the Latino community. There are 11 million undocumented people in this country, and many of them every single day are being exploited and cheated on their jobs. Because when you are undocumented, you have no legal rights. Your employer can underpay you and overwork you. I believe that now is the time for comprehensive immigration reform and a path towards citizenship. And if Congress does not do its job and pass immigration reform, I will use the executive powers of the presidency to do everything I can. What immigration reform should be about is bringing families together, uniting them, not dividing them. If elected president, we will end the current deportation policies. This campaign is listening to the African American community. I have been all over this country, and I've been in many, many inner cities. And what I am seeing is not what should be happening in America in the year 2016. I have been in inner cities where unemployment rates are off the charts, where poverty is much too high, where schools are crumbling, where there are not even grocery stores or banks, where people are buying their food in these little places that sell beer and pretzels, and they're cashing their checks at payday lenders at outrageous interest rates. The African American community is asking me, how come we have trillions to spend on a war in Iraq we never should have gotten into? But supposedly we don't have enough money to rebuild inner cities. Well, today, together, we are going to develop new national priorities. No more wars that should not be fought. But yes, we will rebuild America's inner cities and rural communities. This campaign is listening to a people whose pain is rarely heard. That is the Native American community. Everybody here knows that from before this country became a country, when the first settlers came here, Native American people were lied to, they were cheated, and the treaties they negotiated were broken. And today, all over this country, on Indian reservations and in Native American communities, poverty, unemployment, extraordinarily high, and on reservations, suicide rate for young people is beyond belief. We owe the Native American people a debt of gratitude that we can never fully repay. They have taught us so much, and among the most important lessons that they have taught us, a lesson that we cannot not accept, is that as human beings, we are part of nature. We must live with nature, not destroy nature. And that if we destroy nature, we are destroying ourselves. If elected president, we are going to change in a very fundamental way our relationship to the Native American people. I am a member of the U.S. Senate Committee on the Environment. I have talked to scientists all over the world. The debate is over. Climate change is real. It is caused by human activity. And as you well know, in California, it is already doing devastating harm to our country and all over the world. Brothers and sisters, we have a moral responsibility to leave this planet in a way that is healthy and habitable for our children and our grandchildren. Together, we will take on the fossil fuel industry. Together, we will transform our energy system away from fossil fuel to sustainable energy and energy efficiency. Together, America will lead the world in opposing and turning back climate change. And when we talk about the environment, one of the great looming crises, it's here now, it will only get worse, is the question of whether we will have enough clean water, drinking water in this country and around the world. I believe that the time is now to end fracking. On this issue, Secretary Clinton and I also disagree. When she was Secretary of State, she actually pushed fracking technology on countries around the world. When we think outside of the box, we ask ourselves, what are the basic human needs that all of us require? Well, we need food, we need shelter, we need clothing, we need a clean environment, but we also need health care. Now, I have been criticized for saying this, so I'll say it again. In my view, health care is a right of all people, not a privilege. The Affordable Care Act has done some very good things, but we need to go further. How many people here have no health insurance? Raise your hand. Wow. No health insurance. How many people here have high deductibles and copayments? That is why we need a Medicare for all single-payer program. Too many of our people are uninsured or underinsured, and all of us and every American pays by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. 1 out of 5 Americans cannot afford to fill the prescriptions their doctors prescribe. Senior citizens in California and Vermont cut their pills in half because they don't have enough money to buy the medicine they need. That's crazy. But meanwhile, the top 5 drug companies made $50 billion in profit last year. Our message to the drug companies is clear. Stop ripping off the American people. And by the way, in November, you're going to have a proposition on the ballot that can significantly reduce the cost of prescription drugs. I hope California leads the country in taking on the drug companies. Brothers and sisters, you all know a profound lesson of American history, and that is that change, real change, always takes place from the bottom on up, never from the top on down. Think about it. 100 or more years ago, workers in America had no rights. They were working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. They could be fired at any time. Children, 10, 12 years of age, were working in factories, losing their fingers and hands because they're around machinery they never should have been near. Workers stood up and fought back. Workers formed unions. Workers demanded to be treated with respect and dignity. And if we make it to the White House, we are going to help expand the trade union movement in this country. Think about America 150 years ago. Amidst the horrors of slavery, you had African Americans and their allies looking to the future, putting their lives on the line, going to jail, getting beaten, and saying that the day will come when we will end racism and bigotry in the United States. A 100 years ago, not a long time ago from an historical perspective, women in America did not have the right to vote. People don't know this. 100 years ago, women couldn't go to the schools and get the education they wanted or the jobs they wanted. The establishment said to women, your job is to stay home and have babies. But women in America said, sorry, you are not going to define us. We will define ourselves. And women and their male allies stood up, fought back. Some of them went to jail. They went on hunger strikes, and some women died in that struggle to make certain that in America, women would not be second-class citizens. That's how change
That's how real change takes place. Think about it. If we were here not 100 years ago, but 10 years ago, no time at all, somebody jumps up and says, you know, Bernie, I think that gay marriage will be legal in every state in America in 2015. The person next to her would have said, you're crazy, it can't happen. There's too much homophobia, too much bigotry in America. But the gay community and their straight allies stood up, fought back, and said clearly, that in America, people should have the right to love whoever they want, regardless of their gender. If we were here 5 years ago, somebody jumps up and says, Bernie, I think this federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour is a starvation wage. We got to raise it to $15 an hour. The person next to him would have said, $15 an hour. You want to more than double the minimum wage? You are crazy. You're too radical. You're thinking too big. But you know what happened? Workers in the fast food industry, in McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, they went out on strike. They stood up. They fought back. And then in Seattle, Washington, $15 an hour. In Seattle, Los Angeles, $15 an hour. In California, New York State, $15 an hour. And if I'm elected president, $15 an hour in every state in this country. What is my point? My point is that throughout history, the establishment has always said to the people, you can't make major changes. What, as a worker, you want dignity on the job? You want to negotiate a contract? That's crazy. What you want in America, the end of racism and segregation? That's nuts. Women, you want the right to do any work you want? Don't be ridiculous. Gay people, no, you're never going to get the right to marry. That's always the message. It can't be done, it can't be done, it can't be done. But the American people today are learning a very profound lesson. And that is, if we stand up and fight back, there is nothing we cannot accomplish.